In the grey hours before dawn on Thursday, January 15th, Iran pulled the switch on its entire airspace. No civilian flights, no commercial traffic, only the sound of military alert. Simultaneously across the Persian Gulf in Qatar, American soldiers began quietly packing, leaving behind the Udeid Air Base that serves as America's military nerve center in the Middle East for nearly 2 decades. These are not routine maneuvers, these are not diplomatic gestures, but these are the final preparations before war comes to the Middle East once again. Well, in this edition of From the News Desk, we will tell you why the question is no longer whether Donald Trump will order an attack on Tehran, but the question is when. The withdrawal from Udeid Air Base represents the most significant American military repositioning in the Middle East in over a year. Qatar officially acknowledged the pullout on Wednesday, describing it as a posture change undertaken in response to current regional tensions. What this sanitized language masks is the sheer scale of this operation. Personnel are being advised to leave the 10,000-strong installation by nightfall. This is not an evacuation yet. Well, as per Reuters quoting a source, clarified that it remains a posture change, not an ordered evacuation. But the distinction grows thinner by the hour. Well, not only these actions, but the United States Embassy in Doha has issued directives to staff restricting movements to essential visits only. It is also important to know that it's not just American forces, but the British military, which maintains a smaller presence of approximately 100 personnel at this very airbase, is similarly withdrawing staff. Now, when we look at the history of this conflict between US and Iran, things become even clearer. Remember, just weeks before the Trump administration conducted Operation Midnight Hammer, the bunker-busting strikes or Iran's nuclear facilities in June 2025, similar personal withdrawal occurred at regional installations. Now it seems like Iran is also preparing for impact. The first sign is that Iran's Civil Aviation Authority issued a notice to air missions, a NOTAM that froze the nation's entire airspace. The Tehran Flight Information Region, one of the world's busiest corridors connecting Europe to Asia, went dark except for pre-authorized international flights. Now, as per the experts who understand the evolving situation, they say Iran only issues NOTAMs when it anticipates hostile aerial incursions. Well, the Trump administration has already demonstrated its willingness to act unilaterally. In June 2025 too, without congressional approval or UN authorization, it dropped bunker-busting ordnance on Iran's most heavily fortified nuclear installations. International law and diplomatic outrage was irrelevant then, like it will be this time around too. In fact, it was very clearly demonstrated by Trump's Venezuelan operation. Now, what distinguishes the current moment is the scale of potential strikes option under active consideration. As per reports, Trump has been briefed on multiple scenarios, including non-military targets within Tehran itself. In fact, Vice President J.D. Vance and other hardliners within the Trump administration are reportedly pushing US President to abandon any diplomatic pretense and authorize full kinetic operation. Trump has already weaponized the trade sanctions as a prelude to military action, announcing a 25% tariff on any nation engaging in commerce with Iran effective immediately. On January 14th, Trump warned that any additional crackdown on protesters would trigger an American response. This thing has been repeated by Trump time and again. Well, hours later, he claimed the violence has stopped based on intelligence briefings. Well, the oscillation between threats and claims of Iranian compliance reveal a White House caught between ideological hardliners demanding full military action and certain voices urging restraint. But the military machinery speaks louder than presidential tweets. Udeid is emptying, Iran's skies are closing, and Washington is sending every signal except an official declaration. The attack is coming. Well, the only unknown remains is whether it arrives in hours or days.